some astonishing things. First of all, this whole kerfuffle over Ben Carson saying that he wouldn't vote for a Muslim, or that he thought that Islam was inconsistent with the Constitution. And he's been walking this back all morning saying, well, if somebody is a big believer in Sharia law, then maybe that's inconsistent with the Constitution, or this or that, or, whatever. And interestingly, S.E. Cupp, the infamous conservative who's kind of migrated out of the weird Fox world a few years back into a little more mainstream position on CNN as the conservative pundit, and she does a good job as such, made the argument that you wouldn't be bigoted if you said you would not vote for a Muslim for president. Here's what she had to say yesterday on CNN.
It's not bigoted to say that you wouldn't vote for a Muslim president. That's not what Ben Carson is saying. No, you can say I wouldn't vote for a Muslim. I wouldn't vote for an atheist. They're not in line with my ideas. That's not bigoted. But
just
that's
based
not
on their
what
religion?
Ben Carson said. That's not what Ben Carson said.
Just based on the religion, it's not bigoted. I think it is.
No, I think based on religion, where you have a doctrine of very clear ideas that you might disagree with, I think it's completely appropriate for a voter to judge someone on their ideas, on their faith, and on their worldview.
So if you said you wouldn't vote for a Jew for president or a Christian for president, that would be okay?
All the same thing. He wasn't saying I wouldn't vote for a Muslim. He was saying we shouldn't have a Muslim president. That's completely different. And voters are allowed to have those opinions. But you're not allowed, what you should not be allowed to say is that Muslims shouldn't run this country.
So she was actually taking the position that it's unconstitutional, or it's anti-constitutional. In fact, she called it un-American, to say that anybody from any particular religion should not be qualified to run for president. In other words, Article 6 of the Constitution says no religious test of ever. It uses the word ever. No religious test ever for any political office in the United States. So, which would include, obviously, the presidency. But at the same time, she's saying, if you choose to vote for somebody or not to vote for somebody because of their religion, then that doesn't make you a bigot. To assert that they shouldn't be eligible to run for president, that might make you a bigot. So, I kept, when I was watching this yesterday, I kept thinking of the whole Mormon thing around Mitt Romney. Lawrence, what's his name? O'Donnell. Thank you, Shano. Last night on his TV show mentioned, or maybe it was the night before last. In either case, I mean, it was, I think, probably 75% of the purpose of it, particularly since he had a Clinton surrogate on as a guest, was to set up the fact that only 48% of Americans say they'd vote for a socialist. But he went through this list of, who would you vote for? A Catholic, a Jew, blah-de-blah-de-blah. And it's just, the question is it bigotry to say I wouldn't vote for this guy or not? I mean, basically the bottom line, I mean, Jack Kennedy was a Catholic, and at that time there had never been a Catholic president in the United States. There had never been a Catholic majority on the Supreme Court. There is right now. And we've had a Catholic president, John Kennedy, and John Kerry ran for president as a Catholic. And so I think the Catholic thing is kind of, we're over that. We've never had a Jewish president or vice president. Joe Lieberman ran for vice president, but, didn't make it. Arguably the one good thing that came out of Bush v. Gore. And is that bigotry? Is it bigotry to say, I'm not going to vote for Mitt Romney because he's a Mormon? I think it's just human nature, frankly. I think that the religious part of it, for me, it would be, okay, Jimmy Carter ran as a born-again Baptist, Southern Baptist Christian. George W. Bush ran as a compassionate Christian who was saved by Jesus from his alcohol addiction. I mean, they were pretty upfront about their religion. Dwight Eisenhower, George Bush Sr., more like, let's not. Ronald Reagan pandered to religion, but he never went to church pretty much throughout his whole life. He was relatively areligious. So for me, I'm just speaking for myself. If somebody said my worldview and my politics are informed, beyond informed by my religion is not unreasonable. But to say that I want to use the White House or I want to use political office to promote my particular religion over others, that's where we're stepping over the line.